Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and as our becoming my favorite part of doing these videos is talking with Professor O, who joins us live from Oklahoma, and me that joins you not quite live from Texas. Thank you for joining us once again. We're having a lot of fun with this, aren't we?
Man, me too. My favorite, yeah, absolutely. Having a ball.
Well, today we're going to be talking about Inception, and this is one of my absolute favorite movies. I think that it's not a popcorn movie. It is one of these things that you have to really pay attention to keep track with, and and you can see it several times and still not quite get everything. And I really like it. It's a little bit of a puzzle box of a movie, and I think that that's what makes me really want to see it. And it's not just me. I think that it had something like 4 Oscars and otherwise 150 odd more awards in the year that it was released.
Oh, just a tremendous film, and you do catch new things every time. In fact, it had been I guess it had been a good 10 years since I've seen this. I think I saw it 3 times in 2010, but
Yeah.
since then I've probably seen it once, and then rewatching it, even you can still lose track of the levels because they say they're just going into 3 levels of dreaming. They end up doing more than that, and it's fantastic. Yeah, and you're right. As a puzzle box, and sometimes you'll come across a puzzle box movie and you'll go, okay, this is a puzzle box movie. But this one has so much emotional resonance, and the themes are so strong that it goes beyond the puzzle box. And most of the time, you also know when you're in a heist movie. And I wouldn't, when I came out of that the first time, I just wouldn't have thought of that as a heist movie. It's a fantastic heist movie. It
It really
is.
is. I love heist movies too. Show me a good heist movie and I'm there.
Oh, I am glued. I love heist movies, but yeah, but this is and you think about it, Christopher Nolan loves heist movies. Almost
Yeah.
most of his films are kind of conja. And I was looking at some reading, and there's some real delineations between heist movies, con job movies, and point of view of the victim, and also point of view of the heisters, of the
Yeah.
con artists. And it's just some fascinating different types of. I didn't realize heist movies have subgenres of heist movies, and it's fascinating.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do a video on that too because there's so many good ones. Comes to mind immediately the Thomas Crown Affair, the newer version, the newer version of Ocean's 11, and
Right.
the Italian Job,
Oh,
and
yes.
that's just off the top of my head. And
Yeah.
they're great stuff. But anyway, we're talking about Inception, which is another heist movie in a way, but it also is a very what can we say about this? This is the stuff dreams are made, as Bogart would say, and how dreams work. There's the only other movie I've ever seen that was about dreams specifically was Dreamscape with Eddie Albert. You remember that one?
Oh, that's a great movie. Eddie Albert, and a young Kevin Bacon. It's one
Yes.
of the. I mean, okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, and some great single frame animation. That's a fun film. Yeah.
Now that's an interesting thing to talk about here. Uh, that what we have is a lot of practical effects on this. This only had
Yes.
a couple of hundred special effects in it, where an average film of this sort would have thousands, and most of these things are done practically. For instance, the hotel room that turns upside down, or the hallway that turns upside down, is actually on a gimbal, and so
Right.
that's done in practically. But before we
Right.
get to stuff like that, I want to say something about this cast. This is a dream cast, if you pardon the pun. Leonardo DiCaprio, of course, as Cobb, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Elliot Page, who was then Ellen Page, and even the supporting people were quite good. Tom Berenger, I haven't seen him in a movie in 20, 30 years, and yet
Me
he works
either.
well in this.
All of
Yeah.
a sudden, I'm looking at the cast. It took me a minute to realize that is Tom Berenger,
Yeah.
and Tom Hardy, so good.
Yeah.
Michael Caine
Michael
gets to be
Caine. Yeah.
there, and Marion Cotillard as Mal is fantastic.
Yes.
Wow, whoo, whoo, whoo. Yeah, and Ken Watanabe. I mean, it's just it. That is a
Yeah.
fantastic cast. Yeah,
Although
even
he's
what's funny, I noticed there's a series I watched called The Leftovers on HBO, and the even the security guard at the end where we're thinking, is this a dream? Is this not a dream? At the very end, you're looking at the passport, and I'm thinking, I know that guy. He's got a key major part in The Leftovers. His filmography, think it's just a small part in this film. He's got that one scene, but he's an excellent actor. And yeah, I mean they did a super job with casting.
Yeah, I agree, and there's so many things in this film that make you want to. I mean, there's been more argument about whether the film ended in a dream or not. And in fact, I mean,
Yeah,
that it was the perfect ending for that, where they have the totem that is still spinning and wobbles just a little bit, then they go to black. I mean,
you know,
that's yeah.
I used to tell students this was this film was early on when you think about it in the Marvel universe. Not that this film's in the Marvel universe, but you go back to our staying in movies until the credits are over, which kind of started with Marvel films. So 2010, we're probably 3 or 4 or 5 Marvel films in, and it's starting to be a thing to sit there till the end of the credits. But it still wasn't a major thing. I mean, it was still early on. So I used to tell students, I said, I would say, hey, did you stay to the end of the credits? And they go, no. And I said, oh my God, it comes back. You're looking at the top. It falls over and then comes back up. And they're like, whoa. And I was like, no, it did not happen. Even last night, rewatching the film, I watched it till the very end. I really wanted to see what happened to that top.
I agree with
But
that.
no,
And this was a
they
lot of conversation between my wife and I when we went to see this film to begin with. Was what happened here? What is this doing? And I have to think that every dream that I'd had afterwards, I thought about the kick that woke me up.
Yes, the kick, right. The kick that wakes you. I didn't, but you think about that when you're watching the film and you think, wow, that is a kick, but
Yeah.
sometimes you don't get that kick, but wow, yeah, that's interesting.
I
Uh,
love this, and there
but
are a lot of questions about it. I've noticed on their IMDb
oh,
page, there's a whole page full of questions that people had, and who's the
oh, right.
dreamer in these scenes, and how does the van going off the bridge wake anybody up, and how do they bring all their equipment with them in each level of the dreams, and some of this they make some sense out of, and some of it you just have to suspend your disbelief because this first of all isn't possible, but certainly is entertaining.
And that's two things to build on what you're saying. For one thing, the end, the biggest, a lot of things on the end, people will freeze frame Leonardo Cobb's passports, and
Yeah.
and is it properly stamped? And is there something in the stamp at the very end of the movie that is a tell that it's a dream? And some people feel like that the stamp is not as specific, the dates are wrong, it's not as specific as it should be, as if he was really in the real world. But then there are other people that kind of discount those theories. So that's kind of, you're right, that's up in the air. There's no real definitive. Is he still in a dream? And then what was the other thing you just said, Professor B? You just said uh, it was it dealing with the origin. We're talking about dreaming. We can rewatch our own
Yeah,
episode and then I'll
who was
catch up.
doing the dreaming is the other thing, which it's difficult to keep straight as to whose dream they're entering,
Exactly,
and of
it
course
is.
why
That's
and why Cobb's beast came in with him when all the others didn't, and
right.
I think a lot of that can be explained away by the fact that he was already disturbed. I mean, there was
Uh,
from doing all this all
that's
the
a
time.
good point.
It has messed him up. But I have one theory about the end of it though. The children did
Yeah,
look a
okay.
little bit older at the end.
That DiCaprio did.
The children
Oh,
that
the
every time
kids did.
that every time he would see the children walking away, they were younger than they were in the last scene, and so I'm thinking that
Exactly.
they probably were in reality by then. But then,
Because the kids
yeah,
and they got two different. And I was looking at the casting of the kids. They actually the kid. Yeah, you're right. They got two different sets of actors to do that. So yeah, that the kids are older when they finally see the face of the kids,
yeah.
and yeah, yeah. Oh God, what? And so yeah, I think it's more grounded in reality. That would be my leaning. You certainly want it to be, um, where he could finally break free of the dream.
But it was enough that if you wanted to believe that it wasn't in reality, you could do that,
You
and then
could absolutely,
what?
which is
Yeah,
just lovely. It just
yeah.
oh,
It
such a good film.
almost a
And
film within a
apparently,
film.
yeah, yeah. Well, that was another thing that it like I was mentioning. I had found a really good source online. It's an entire Christopher book on Christopher Nolan's work,
Mhm.
and in looking at some of the Inception parts of that, and it deals with dreaming, and he points out that going to a movie is kind of like Inception itself. You go and with the lights are low, we're literally together in a collective dream state,
Yeah,
watching a collective dream, and it plants an idea in our minds, and it just there's so many neat connections to film itself and this movie um, being a dream that connects to film. And apparently, one thing that's kind of interesting too is the team. You can look at the team. Nolan loves the art of film, and he
yeah.
loves shooting on film. He had to fight. Paramount wanted this film to be shot digitally, even in 2010. And
Yeah.
2010 was still in an age where, I mean, digital had come along, but it's not like nowadays where 98% of films are shot digitally. 2010 was more like 60-40 shot on film, but Paramount's wanting to push the limits, and they're telling Christopher Nolan, pretty much the last person you should tell, shoot this digitally. Christopher Nolan he will be buried. He'll put celluloid in his coffin. I mean, he will be buried wrapped. He loves film. He loves Kodak, loves film, loves the look of film. And so basically, not only did he won this argument to shoot on film, he also said this has got to be projected on film. So now in
Yeah.
2010 in Southeast Texas, and I would dare say in Oklahoma up here, our our theaters were still running film instead of digital projection.
Hmm.
But Christopher Nolan said, I want to be sure not only is this film shot on film, it's going to be projected on film. So he kind of forces the hand of major theaters to make sure it's going to be film projection. I think at the end of the day, 240 screens ran this on film.
Wow.
And yeah, and so, but the other thing is, he loves film so much, you can look, and this is from this book, you can look at this as basically Dom as a director, um, uh, Adriani, if I'm saying her name correctly, that would be Elliot, uh, would be a location scout, the architect. You look at this as Ken Watanabe, is the financier, is he's the money, the producer. I forget who they. I'm looking at the casting. The producer could have been the Tom. Oh, no, not the Tom Hart. Maybe Joseph Gordon-Levitt was a producer. And what's amazing is, and he's not. I'm looking at the chemist. It's kind of a instead of using some sort of digital interface in the dreams, it's a strong chemical to knock them out,
Yeah.
and that's a tip of the nod, a tip of the hat to the chemistry that makes a film. So basically, this is a film crew doing a heist. When you
That's
think
interesting.
about
I
it,
never thought of it like that.
yeah, director, producer, money man.
I like that. One of the things I
Yeah,
like also about this is their use of the song. This is the Non Je ne regrette rien, which is No, I Regret Nothing, the Edith Piaf song. She
right.
recorded
And
it
I
in
had not heard of that
1960.
until this. What's the background of that? Have you got?
It was written for Edith Piaf in 1956 by Charles Dumont and Michel Vauquer, and recorded in 1960. And it was used in her biography film in 2007. And I Regret Nothing, but it's kind of a sad song to begin with,
Right.
and then it is. But what interests me about that is they use it all the way through, and
Totally.
in the dream state where they talk about the time changes. In reality, a moment goes by, but a day goes by in the first level, and a month goes by in the second, and a year goes by in the third, or something like that. And what they did was, in each dream level, they slowed the song down further until you
Oh,
had, by the deepest level, it was just going dump, dump, dump. That was yeah.
did not catch that. You can hear that's
Yeah.
fascinating. And so wow. Is it playing now? You do hear it in the level with the like the fortress in Canada where they shot the secret, the secret base in Canada. You can hear it then, but it's at a slower rate when we hear it in Canada than when we hear it, say, in the hotel. In the hotel
That's
is
correct.
because Canada is a third level, so that's gonna be slower. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and
That
and
and then down in the lowest level, it's just dun dun.
yes,
Wow,
I
that
love that.
is that's and when you think about even just the name of the song, what's the name of the song again? The
In English, no, I regret nothing.
Which definitely would be a theme in a sense it's a
Yes,
theme.
it is.
Yeah, yeah. Because at the end of the day, to get rid of his guilt, um, he's got to end those regrets, and he
Yes,
can, and he cannot escape Mal. I say he, Dom Cobb cannot escape the presence of Mal
that's
until
true.
he's able to regret nothing because he's so full of regrets. That guilt is propelling her, fueling her to be in his subconscious, and it's destroying everything.
He has to go into
And it
limbo and actually face her, which he had not been willing
right,
to do up to this point.
yeah. Another thing that gets me, I think this is what I was thinking too, is they take it just as a given that this technology exists. In fact, it's such a given in the film that at the end of the film, the first time I saw it, somebody would have said, if we were watching the movie together and you said, oh, that this tech, the army really has this technology, I think I would have said, yeah. I mean, the funniest thing is they did. One reviewer was complaining about the amount of exposition in the film, and he pointed out in heist films you've got to have exposition. Exposition. You've got to show how we're going to do these things, and just enough so that the audience can figure it out. But then, of course, there's always a surprise. But in this, there's no exposition for the technology that fuels it. It's just a given. The army developed it, and we have shared dreaming. And didn't you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think there are a couple of things going on here. First of all, you don't explain how the gun works. Okay, I'm going to point this to
Right.
you. I pull the trigger. It is going to hit this cap, which is going to make a small explosion, which is going to ignite the gunpowder to make a big explosion to push a lead slug out, and it'll be what's the word? Oh shoot, what's the word to mean spinning? Um,
That's spinning.
yeah.
Like a slug is. I'm not sure. That's
However it is,
what you
however it
reminded
is.
me while you're
But I
thinking of that.
mean, by making all the explanation, you don't do that.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time. Second thing is that there was in the early '70s. You may remember this. There was a lot of attention given to sleep learning,
That's
where
true.
you'd
That is
have
true.
cassettes and you would put headphones on or a pillow speaker, and you turn the cassette on and you would learn while you were asleep, which sold a lot of cassettes, a lot of pillow speakers, and didn't teach anybody anything. But
No, I had one of those.
people
It
would
was a
believe that.
record. I had one of
Yeah,
those records. My mom got it, put on the headphones, and I think she tried. Yeah, yeah. And it was the weirdest record when you play it when you're not asleep. It's very strange. So yeah, but you're right. but I would say it feels like we've turned our attention away from that because I look at it now and I'm going like, wow, they just assume that we just buy this, but we do. You're right. We don't explain how they go. And you think about the gun in Tenet, Christopher Nolan's one of his latest films. The gun itself, the bullets will take you back in time. You fire a gun, and the bullets will cause time to stop. I forget exactly, but the bullet itself from that gun will cause a change in time. But they really don't explain that. Even Christopher Nolan just it's more of those. Didn't you know this is the way the gun worked?
Yeah.
But it's a Christopher Nolan gun because everything he does is going to mess with time. And you mentioned the things about the levels in time and the music. When you think about it, also that's what in a movie we do that. We see a 2 hour construct, and even in very rarely you'll see a 2 hour film that's real time, like some sort of a
Yeah.
heist movie might be a real time film, like Rope from Hitchcock. It's not a heist movie, but still it's a real time film. But
Yes.
most of the time we are completely manipulating time the way dreams do, the way they did with the music. It's a complete manipulation of time. And then you add Christopher Nolan and his manipulation of time. I mean, he cannot not make a film.
Yeah.
Every film he's got to manipulate time. Even something straightforward like Dunkirk is going to tell the story in a very unusual way.
Yeah.
And yeah, and yeah, just another and dreams. My goodness, they mess with time. I go to work way too often in my dreams. I'll just say that. Working on retirement, that wow, I'm always at work.
I am always in school, and there was that one class in college that I never made it to the classroom and wondering how I'm going to take the final without
Oh,
even quite
that's
knowing which room it is.
as both you and me have worked in an institution as that's a university. Of course, universities are institutions, and
We've
and I
been
mean that
institutionalized,
in
yes.
every which way. Yeah, they're institutions. And it's funny when you're taught those students haven't had that dream yet. That dream that you just described happens in college. I don't think that's a high school oriented dream.
No,
It's
no.
you have to get your undergraduate degree, and you have to have not attended a class as maybe as much as you should have. That maybe and that class was really difficult, and you made it through in real life, but your dreams are constantly taking you back, and it's the day of the final, and you forget it's the day of the final, and you're waking up and you realize, oh, it's that class, and I haven't really studied for that class. Oh, and the final started half an hour ago, and I'm in my pajamas. I mean, is that the dream?
Yeah, pretty
D?
much.
That's the one.
It's also on a campus I don't recognize. That's I went to a different
Oh
school, I
yeah,
guess.
that's funny. But oh my, yeah, oh, and when you think of your dreams, and it's funny, hallways and the architecture of the dream, they got that so right. There were some people some reviewers say that the sets are too realistic, the lighting, the sets are too realistic. But Nolan and his cinematographer, and I'm working on the name of his cinematographer. It's funny, I know this. He uses his cinematographer so much. It should have, let's see, uh, his anyway, fantastic cinematographer. We'll get his name in a minute. He must be credited. Um,
Okay, hang on a
but the
second. I can pull it up.
cinematographer, um, yeah, and I've got an article. There's a great article on him too. Wally Pfister, P.F.
Okay.
Wally Pfister, really good cinematographer. And he said, no, when you think about it, your dreams are not some sort of Salvador Dali. You don't come up from your dreams thinking of, they all feel pretty realistic. I mean, I would remember a work dream, and they were working on my classroom, and I'm thinking, why are you working on my classroom? And I'm teaching class, but nothing felt like surreal. It was just obnoxious that they were working on my classroom. So they make all the hallways. You're spot on. They make everything real, and it sounds like they've actually made two sets. They made like I wish I had something. Oh, here, this will be a
Okay.
pretty good little prop right here. And so here's a hallway, and they spin it like this vertically, a hallway. And the actors are inside this, and they spin it. And the one digital effect is the actors, and one of the actors did Jason Gordon-Levitt did all his. He was there almost the whole time. He did his own stunts, so
Yes.
he's rotating around here. but they're in straps, and the straps are of course making it seem like there's no gravity, like they're floating as the hallway's going
Right.
around. The only digital thing they did in this film was just to get rid of the straps to so that
Yeah.
they were able to, yeah, in the compositing, the digital process, get rid of the strap. But I think they also apparently shot, had a set that was like up and down, like vertical, and they would shoot down looking at the same set like this way. So they had
Yeah.
another set like this. They also had the hotel room, which was a set, another set like this. And then what was, oh, the bar. They made the bar where it would cant at least 30 degrees. The bar where Dom is talking with the Mark. I say the Mark.
Right.
He's actually, Cillian, Murphy, talking to him. That that set tilts 30 degrees, and you can, and we're so used to digital stuff. You're thinking, oh, that cup, that they're not really leaning. They're really leaning, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Usually they would tilt the camera rather than the set. But yeah,
Exactly.
the glass, the levels of the liquid in the glasses wouldn't change.
That, and one of the best examples of tilting the camera and getting everybody coordinated was in the episode within the holograph episode of Strange New Worlds, when
Yeah.
they're making the TV show from the 60s, Strange Adventures or whatever,
Yeah.
and they have, and then one of the actors doesn't lean the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot
Yeah.
of, if you've seen any of Will Wheaton's after show stuff, he would talk about, how they all had to practice on how to, they had a certain amount of whether they either fell out of their chair or just leaned a little bit or leaned a lot or whatever, and which direction it was supposed to be. It's kind of a fun inside baseball kind of deal.
Exactly. It seems so. You're exactly right, and it's I didn't even think about the. I've just bought it so much that, and when I was reading a 30-degree set, they could tilt the whole set of the bar 30 degrees,
Yeah.
and it just made so much sense. I didn't even think about the alternative, which is exactly what you described. But the practical effects are just incredible. Just and the modeling work they did is almost beyond, they incredible model, and it was so cool. It's movies within movies. Of course, they got Elliot Page actually making models, which look pretty cool. Then they
Yeah.
actually made the models for the film. I think they made the model of I think almost everything. Dom's world, where he
Yes.
has the incredible beach city, and then one of my favorite sets. I don't know about you, but one of my favorite sets was that, and I just love the whole sequence in. I guess it would have been the third level or second level of Dreaming, was the no third, I want to say,
Third.
was the, yeah, third level with the spy fortress. Just,
Yes, I love that
oh
too.
oh, just so cool. I love everything, and the music for that is fantastic. Hans
Yes.
Zimmer.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they had just everybody uh, done right. They had the right music, they had the right actors, and obviously the right director. He wrote that. He wrote it, but I mean, it's like no other film I've ever seen. It is just so delightfully complex in every aspect of it. And
Ev-
almost doing digital special effects would have been cheating by the amount of craftsmanship that goes into this. I'm just absolutely amazed by what they were able to do with this, and and make you feel like you were part of it.
yeah, immerse you in that world. I mean, and I like, yeah, and really, when you think about it, dreams, it did feel like a dream, and dreams do, they, it's not like Picasso paintings. They really are concrete. You feel like they're there. They
Yeah.
apparently did soften the lighting some. One little tip, the interesting thing with, and this ties to two things connecting together. So in the first level of Dreaming, the van, what do they call that again when they wake you up? The like any
The
dream that
kick.
wakes
The
you up,
kick.
the kick, right? So to get they plan for the van as a major kick to go off the bridge. So when it finally happens and the van is going off the bridge, I think for shooting inside that van, and also for shooting when Leonardo DiCaprio goes backwards into the bathtub, 1,000 frames per second.
Yeah.
and it with film, I can't imagine it didn't shred the film, because that's literally going through not
Yeah.
yeah, that's 1,000 frames per second. So and for lighting purposes, when you increase the frame rate to that much, you basically effectively make the film much less sensitive to light. It's still the same film stock, but the shutters is receiving so much less light per revolution per each time the shutter hits, that you have to light the set. So they, for that set with the bathtub, I think they had six 18,000 watt, six 18K,
My
18,000 watt
gosh.
lights. Yeah, in that little set. They said the water started to turn to steam. Yeah, and so they got to do the same thing in the when they're all in the van, and the van is going off the bridge. They do the same, same kind of thing, and so the lighting is just unreal in that. And the other thing it reminded me, it basically described that. Oh yeah, anyway, just tremendous amount of light because of that frame rate. The other thing he said is in the hallway, they wanted it had to be very naturalistically lit, because you couldn't, you're seeing the entire hallway. You could
Yeah.
not see any lighting instruments. We can't, we don't want to see that. That breaks our illusion if we see the
Right.
lights that are. So all the things had to be practicals, and so it had to be lit by practicals. The only little cheat that they had was they, in that roach spinning set, they had some 1,000 watt lights built into this and diffused, kind of where it looked like a ceiling light, just soft lighting, and
Uh-huh.
that just brought up the light levels. But whoa, I mean, the technical stuff is incredible in that film.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some of the
and to make
dialogue.
it look.
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead. Go
no, no,
ahead.
no. What were you? Yeah,
Well,
I was
I
done with
was,
fighting.
I was going somewhere else with this. I was thinking about one of my favorite scenes in here is when DiCaprio is at a sidewalk cafe with Elliot Page, and they're
Right.
talking about how going into someone's dream works, and she says, "Well, I can't wrap my mind around that." And he said, "Well, think about it this way: how did we get here?" And I'd never stopped to think about before that in dreams, you are somewhere, but you never got there. You just became there.
Just like a movie, when you think about it, you all of a sudden you're
Yes.
just there. You enter the dream world, you go into the
And
cinema,
that of
and
course fools
yeah,
us because we think it's just a scene change.
yeah, yeah. And we think it's exactly just a scene change. But every film begins in the middle of something. In medias res,
Yeah.
you're gonna everything starts, and dreams do too. And that description is exactly right. I had not thought of that, but I'm glad you redid that dialogue, because that is exactly what happens with dreams. And you accept the world, and it's a fairly real world until at some point you can start to, maybe you realize this is a dream. And of course, they even bring that up in, when
Yes.
the fear of, but yeah, the inception, the planning of an idea, just every level of that. And where they go beyond their original planning, they were going to do 3 levels. And the first level would be the level in the van. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
driving around in the van. Second level is the hotel. If I'm and
Yes.
third level is
Was the
which they
fort.
thought right, and then they go deeper into
Yes.
Dom's subconscious. Yeah,
Right. He goes
which
into
is
purgatory, or limbo. Goes
right.
into limbo. So
Purgatory's pretty
that's
good.
well, yeah, it would be, but I think they call it limbo here, and it's where dreams are not fully constructed, presumably.
Right,
But he has his own level because of uh, his backstory with Mal.
right, right. His own level, and that now that's one thing. Even at as many times, their backstory, um, their backstory is that they'd how one more time how did they end up in that world? They were in that world a long time. Had become trapped in that world? Is that correct?
Well,
The
certainly, Cobb was in a way because basically Mal had committed suicide and he
Right.
blamed himself and he never really had an answer for that, which is what created that world. He would never face
And
her to come to terms with that.
exactly. And they had almost, it felt like they had lived a lifetime in that world. You know, she said, we're going to grow
Yes.
old here. And so, yeah, then he had to go into the maze. You're right. I trying to get her out of the world. Then he finally goes in. I love that idea. The safe is where we keep our secrets. And he goes into her safe.
Yeah.
And not only it doesn't just get us, actually, he implants an idea there that this world is that not real, but then she takes that to the real world and when she comes back to the real world, she never can believe it's real, and then and you know, that's got some really interesting implications in the real world we live in, where people with the idea of fake news,
Yeah.
it feels like
Well,
that idea has been planted in us.
yeah.
Yeah,
We missed a level too. There's the restaurant level, the Chinese restaurant, and I'm not
right.
quite sure. That still confuses me as how he gets there and how he gets out of there. But that's
One
something specific to
reviewer
him.
one reviewer had an interesting point talking about the time differences. And he said as the van is going over in real time and we're filming at 1,000 frames per second, that's in the first level of dreaming. So so the van is slowed down. The next level in the hotel, basically, Joseph Gordon-Levitt has got. I think it all comes down into computations. In real life, it's 5 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
In the next dreamscape, it's an hour, and then it finally get down to the bottom screen dreamscape. It's like almost years or decades to
Yeah.
by the time the effect of time in these different levels of dreaming. Well, they pointed out that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's all he's got. He says, "Okay, I've got 5 minutes," and he's got 5 minutes to go and plant charges in the elevators, and he's also got to wrap up these people in cords to rescue them. And in his own world, he only has 5 minutes, and he does a lot in 5 minutes when you think about that in the hotel. So, but it is incredible how it's all syncopated. In his 5 minutes, he gets to the point that he needs to be. In the it's more time, but still, the Ken Watanabe holds off. He's dying, but he holds off almost a whole army to buy time. And of course, I'm using the actor's name, but to buy time for Cillian
Right.
Murphy to go see his father. And then
Yeah, and then of course
then
they've got to get him back to an earlier level so he has more time before they can get medical attention to him.
right, it's exactly right. And the kick has got to synchronize with
Yeah.
everything. Whoa, but yeah, this one reviewer said, that's the one thing I don't buy is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt in his 5 minutes of time, he did a heck of a lot,
Yeah.
even though it was slowed down. It's but that oh and God, that's where they had the hotel room spinning, and he's literally while the hotel room's spinning, he's spinning a weave around of like an electrical cord or something
Yes.
around the three. Talk about improvising! Wow.
Yeah. Well, they establish that these people are very well trained. They've done stuff like this before. Inception is kind of a stretch for them. They usually go into people's dreams to take something rather than implant something. And one of the
Exactly.
things I never understood was how they knew the combinations to the safe. And what it was is that the architect designs the safe, and the person in the dreamscape sees the safe and puts stuff in there they want to hide. So
Right.
the dreamer, the person in the dream does not have really any access to the safe. Really, it's the
Thank you for
people that enter the
covering
dream.
that now,
That
because
has
you
taken
just
me a
kind
long
of
time to get my mind around, honestly.
to get you, yeah, because and I was looking up Elliot Page's character's name. I was going to ask you a question. So Arat Ariadne, and
Yeah.
with her character, that institute that Michael Caine institute, I say it looks like a college university
Yes.
that he's connected to. Yeah, right. He's his office is too small. He basically has an office in the classroom. But it- that would you? That's a school of. It sounds like that's a school of architecture, and she's a
Yes.
designer,
Yes.
right? And do you think in the point when we meet her, has she become acclimated at all with dreaming, or is all her architecture completely in the real world?
My understanding was that she was just a puzzle master as well as an architect, and that's what
Puzzle master,
that's
right?
what they needed. That's what Cobb needed, is somebody in the first scene. It's I want you to create a puzzle in 1 minute that I can't get out in five.
Right. Exactly. So you're right. She's a puzzle master, puzzle maker, and that's exactly right.
Now her
And
name is interesting. Her name is interesting because that comes from Greek mythology.
ah,
Ariadne was the mistress of the labyrinth. In the legend of Theseus and the Minotaur, Ariadne was a princess of Crete, and her father created a labyrinth with a minotaur inside it. Each year, 7 men and 7 women would have to be sacrificed to it. One year, a hero named Theseus offered to kill the minotaur, and Ariadne fell in love with him, so gave him a ball of string before he entered the labyrinth, as well as directions. Theseus was able to
that's
kill the minotaur and took Ariadne for his bride. And
right.
that's the story behind that.
Oh, Joseph Campbell used that story as kind of a foundational story for when he was writing the hero's journey, the book that
Yeah.
sets forth the hero. That I did not make that connection. That's fast. That totally makes sense. Wow. And Michael Caine, I always like saying Michael Caine
Yeah.
has
Holding a drink, and you
a
don't.
right has a good, apparently a really good backstory, of course, with Cobb. That's his father-in-law, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's, and so he knows what Cobb does with this dreaming that we just take as a given. But you're right. It's funny, you think of 2010 being the 15th anniversary, should be coming out this year. It would be great if they release on physical media some extra features to go with this
Yeah, it would be
film.
nice.
Because some of the other films we've covered have got 3 hour documentaries, and this one just doesn't
Yeah.
have to me, have a really authoritative documentary, and the actors are the perfect age to go back and catch those memories. um, One interesting thing is, there's a little bit, and you probably came across this too, there's an anime from 2006, I want to say, that I forgot the name of it, but basically there's a school of thought that says that Christopher Nolan watched this anime, which is very, there's some levels of dreaming. It's got levels of dreaming. I think it's got the idea of Inception. And did Christopher Nolan kind of, did he copy a little? Did he pay a little bit too much tribute to this anime? Did he copy it in a sense? And it seems like the consensus of thought, some of the anime fans are, one reviewer pointed out, anime fans, they feel like they're underappreciated, they feel like they're underdogs. So with that point of view, they feel like, yeah, Christopher Nolan came along and took the idea of our anime. But apparently he wrote, the anime's from '06. He wrote an 80-page treatment back in 2002,
Hmm.
and he has constantly wanted to do a film. I think his first film was called Following, and it's shot on black and white 16 millimeter. But at the end of every film, that it's like a process he would go through, and he would dream, and then he would write ideas from the dream. And with every film that he made, you've got Following, then Memento, then the Batman Begins trilogy. And
Yeah.
with every single one of those, he developed this idea from the dream that turned into Inception even more. So there's some similarities to the anime, but it's not a ripoff or anything like that.
No.
It's really an idea that he had conceived of. He may have seen. There's also people that say that he may have seen the anime, and there's some elements there that he, that contributed to Inception. But it really is. It feels like an original idea that he's had even before the anime came out.
Well, I remember a college professor once telling a class I was in on before writing a research paper, understand that nothing you're writing down is something that came right out of your mind. Always attribute, and
Exactly.
I'm thinking certainly it's worthy of saying that this film is a combination of a lot of things that have influenced him over the years that have gone together in this. But what a complex world he's built here. I have something that might be interesting to you. They have the time in this thing
Oh, broken down.
broken down. In reality, 10 hours. In level
Right.
one, that is, let's see. let's see. The idea is to be planted. Eames disguises and impersonates Browning and convinces him that the father loves him and doesn't want him to follow his footsteps. Um, Level two is Yusef drives with everyone in the van, and level two, it's 6 months. And then level three in the dream is 10 years. And it's not
Wow.
moving because I have the wrong mouse. Here we go. And yeah, projection of his father should appear in the vault. Eames needs to come up with something to put in the safe. Paper fan from the picture he cherished most, and then thinks his father doesn't want Fisher to be him. You drop from the exploding hospital floor. You drop from triggering the explosives in the elevator. You kick by the van going off the bridge. And then they're back
Right.
on the plane.
And then they're back on the plane. And one thing I now remember the other thing, and again, a listener of our show and your other shows too, uh, my cousin Don would say it's something he would have reminded me on the first watch. And when they break into the safe with the father puts in the combination, and then in the picture you mentioned, they open up the picture that is with the father and the son, and he's also got the little whirligig thing, and the fact that the father kept the whirligig uh, showed his love for his son, and that one, that one I had forgotten about that. And of course, in watching the movie, Don said, "Hey, that's the whirligig thing that show it's in the picture, right?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." So I thought that was such a beautiful connection. That
Really was.
just yeah, and poignant. Just having that one little thing. You're thinking of what little thing to could inspire the inception of a whole idea, and it's got to feel like his idea. And yeah, that was it. And but you always think about too is when they're getting out of the airport, and and he's just had this dream with all the people that he's been sitting with in Uber first class. Um, Definitely you get a deja vu moment there.
Yes.
But
But
yeah,
what a film.
one
I
thing,
mean, it's just, it
yeah,
just, I can't not watch it again because it's just always something you can get differently from it. And I think there are very few films that you can do that with. Certainly
oh,
nothing that's been made in the last 30 or 40 years.
that's yeah. There was oh, absolutely, so original. You think of how manipulation of time. How does he keep doing it? Because Interstellar, the next which came after this, is a total manipulation of time by
Yes.
going near the event of the black hole and the time dilation that occurs. It's fascinating. But one in that there's another article in that book which is available online was it pointed out in the dreaming, which is fascinating too. Your elevator to your subconscious, all the things that we repress in our dreams, you can
Yes.
completely go Freudian, which brings us back to Forbidden Planet. Go back to the id and everything we repress. But this looked at it. There was a thing that Freud did that he saw in his own grandchild. He saw his grandchild have a little ball with a string on it, and
Yeah.
the grandkid. So Sigmund Freud's over there probably smoking a cigar, watching his 5 year old, or I think more like a 2.5 year old.
Hmm.
And so he's got this ball with a string, and so he puts the ball under a table where he can't see it. Then he pulls the ball back and puts the ball under a table, and it's just fascinating with like taking something that's out where he can't see it anymore. Oh, is it gone? And then he pulls it back. So of course Freud is going to take this to kind of an Oedipus, Oedipus complex, thinking of the mother, they and or connection to the mother, and basically saying it's the kid's the age where he's separating from the mother, and he's worried that the mother is gone, but then he gains a sense of control. Oh, she's back. And this article pointed out that that's kind of what Dom is doing in that deep subconscious level with Mao. It's like it's like he wants to grieve and wants to give her up, but he can't quite give her up. So he'll put her away and then he pulls her back. And it's called the Fort Da game. And Fort for here, there, here, there. And so anyway, I just thought there was an interesting interpretation of taking some Freudian concepts to that dream level with Nam.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's just masterful the way they did this whole thing.
Yeah.
Another thing is the totems. We haven't talked about those, and I actually got one for Christmas or birthday or something. I have it on the shelf back there, but the cat knocked it off a few days ago and broke it, so I can't show it to you.
No.
But it had a little magnetic base. You put a battery in it, and you'd spin it, and it would just keep spinning. And for a while, I was
Oh,
putting it in my
you
videos
got.
until somebody said, one of my viewers said, please don't do that because it's a repetitive motion thing and it's causing me to get dizzy. So I quit doing that. But it's
That connects to two films that we've reviewed,
yes,
sir. It connects to the Andromeda Strain and a visual thing that can bother us, like the
yes,
price of light. But more directly, it connects to your mischievous cat Jonesy.
yes.
That's from the last film. I can't believe Jonesy did. There's a school of thought that says Ripley maybe shouldn't have brought Jonesy back, but and it would have been
I think
cool
it's one of those things in every horror movie. Don't go there. Don't do that. Don't take that person. Don't trust him. And yeah, this time it was the cat. Don't go after the cat.
don't go and would they and it'd be interesting if they ever thought about cloning Jonesy the way they did Ripley in the fourth Alien. But yeah, you always kind of wonder what happened to Jonesy. But I can't. I was looking for something. Right, I was looking for something, any object at all, to connect to. Best I could come up with the Death Star, and there's R2, there's a C3PO, but the riding a bike.
Yeah.
But I do not have anything that connects to Inception. I can't believe you found a spinning top. That is awesome. Was that one of those Hallmark things, or?
I really don't remember. It was given to me. It just came in a little box, and you put a battery in it, and you spun it, and it just kept going. And I can't. It's there's nothing left. Show it to you.
Oh shoot!
Sharp worded. But
Yeah.
It's broken. The little top part of it's
Oh,
gone. But
my heart's
if you
broken.
put it on this little thing and spun it, it would it would keep spinning.
Keep spinning. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I don't have a battery in this now, so because the token is broken. But
Jonesy.
yeah. There's certain things that you have to accept when you have cats.
Oh God, yeah. With dogs too. Yeah. Every leg of a chair is a potential victim. So yeah. It's which leg did they get today? Fortunately, we got rid of all the carpets. So, but, which is last thing. When it was so cool, you think of the granular details, some of the details that take you out of a dream. I love the fact that when they were testing, or Ken, the businessman was testing them, and they take him to his little love nest, and he's laying down there on that carpet, and it's being on the carpet. He says, "This is not the carpet in my apartment." But some of the things that'll take you out of a dream, which is
Yes. So
what
a film. And
what a film. That's exactly what I was going to say. We didn't talk. I don't know that much about the editing. The writing, apparently, Christopher Nolan's been inspired for years. Every time he'd make a film, he'd make a little progress on a dream film. He first imagined it to be a very low budget film. Like his first film, Following, was like 16 millimeter black and white. He's just trying to get discovered. And but then he realized this has got to be a big budget film. And this is one of those films.
$160 million was the budget, and 293 million earned in the box office.
Wow. And every bit of that money is on screen. Nothing is
That's
everything.
true.
I love a film like that where because sometimes you'll go, they spent this much and this is what we got.
Yeah. But I mean, 379 nominations for awards, won
Wow.
159 of them, and I think 4 of them were Oscars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Just at least four should have been Oscars. It's just incredible.
Yeah. So I think that we have our work cut out for us for our next one. I'm thinking
We do.
we need to do another heist film, don't we?
I love the idea.
Let's
Yes, we
let's
do.
let's let's talk about which heist film we want to feature next week, and do
And we
just
can
that.
check the comments. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see
Yeah.
what you think. Leave please leave comments below, and we will read all of them and answer most of them. Some of them
And
are
this was a
not getting
science
to me.
fiction heist film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's it's a nice combination of things. It's a heist film. It's science fiction. It's I don't know what else would you call it. It's a puzzle box movie, really.
Puzzle box movie, and it's got a level of sometimes puzzle box movies, the best ones can be so satisfying you really don't need a level of poignance, or but this one comes with a whole package. You've got some, so you care about the characters, a lesson is learned.
Yeah.
Finally he's able to forgive himself. I mean, wow, that's a lot.
Well, I mean, you would say you've taught film for long enough to know that a good film takes a character and changes them by the end. They learn something,
Exactly.
or they
There's a
go
character
forward.
arc.
Yeah,
Yeah, even for the kid, there's kind of an arc for him. He discovers a sense of redemption. Yeah, for the son. But yeah,
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. But I think also we should say something before we go about the quality of the acting. I think this is probably the best performance I've seen out of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Certainly
Right, hands
DiCaprio
down.
since Titanic.
Right.
Michael Caine. I mean,
Ah,
what has
add
he
so
ever
much
done
to every.
badly? Yeah,
Yeah. I just went. Yeah, that's right. And he's waiting at the airport. I'd forgotten he's at. Yes. So cool.
and
And then
not
in the house too.
yeah, and not to forget Elliot Page, who is kind of the moral center of all this.
Exactly. Somebody, yes. One reviewer had said basically she wasn't given anything to do, but you nailed it. I just instinctively didn't feel that she wasn't. But you're right. She's the moral center. She's exactly right. And yeah, and even to the point of uh, constantly reminding Dom, you're putting everybody in danger. What you're doing is, where's your sense of morality? And yet caring enough for him to help him, to guide him on his final journey, where he's able to let Mal go. Yeah, just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
right. You're exactly right. Wow.
All right. Well, I think we need to wrap this up now. Our time is almost there. So thank you once again, for being with us. We enjoyed this more than you know. And we, of course, want to hear from you, the viewer. If you have some ideas for us or you have any comments, please put them below. And if you have not subscribed or clicked a like, that would help us as well. I don't know if it does any real good for us, but it does give us a little encouragement to continue whatever nonsense we want to do here.
Tips for not dreaming about work. If we got that would,
Yeah, I'll go with that.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Till next time, don't go far.